Okay, so you'll see here, as soon as you click on your little health icon, and you guys won't have quite as much as I have here on the left-hand side, as you guys will not have as much access, but this is what your initial health module looks like. You have your daily log, your student health, your mass manage, your reports, your utilities, and your setup. Okay? So where we're going to start with is a daily log. And I'll take you back to the daily log after we do some things. But the daily log essentially tracks everything that you're doing, in a day's time. So if I move this date back here to you'll see all the activity that has been added to this daily log since August 20th. Okay? And again, you can sort your daily log by activities, general medical, health condition, health forms, immunization, medical equipment, medication, office visits, or screening. You can sort it by date, and you can also sort it by the record status, either all, complete, or pending records. All right? So again, this is a daily log. I'll come back and show you a few things with your daily log before we get done here. The next place I want to take you is to our student health. This is where you guys will spend the most time. So you'll see here that you have a generic search screen. This screen is found throughout the iNow program. You can search for students based off a multitude of criteria: first name, last name, student number, date of birth, social security number, gender, phone, state ID, grade level, homeroom, section number, etc. You can also, if your administrators have built student filters, you guys can search by a student filter. Alright? This is test data, so I don't know what's in here, so I'm just going to search for all my students. Alright? So this pulls up a list of all my students I have in here. Okay? From here, you guys can either highlight all your students and view them, and then you can cycle through each record, 1 through 43, or you guys can just click one record at a time. Alright? So we're going to pick on this first student here, and you'll see here on the left-hand side, you have help, student locator, print screen, and a medical profile. So help is just going to pull you to the quick reference guides that we have available to you on the website. Now these are not restricted to health quick reference guides, so it is going to bring up absolutely everything we have. Alright? Thanks for that. And you'll see here we have student locator. What the student locator does is if the student is assigned a schedule, it'll pull that student schedule up on the locator. And I don't know if this test data has any student schedules attached to it. Yeah, it looks like the students don't have anything attached in this test data. But if the students you're going to be dealing with will have a full schedule that will all show up right here. Okay? Close. Alright. You also see a print screen, which will just take a print screen. And on reports, you see the medical profile report. And what the medical profile report is exactly what it says. It'll pull a full medical profile for this student. I won't show you guys this report now. Later through the WebEx, we're going to go to the reports tab, and I'm going to show you all the reports that you can run. Okay? One cool thing about the general medical is you can choose to show or hide the student contacts. Okay? This will pull up the contacts attached to the student along with the relationship, the phone number, and the contact type. Alright? Also on this general medical screen is your source for healthcare, which, again, most people will only use this hospital and physician information, but you guys do have the option to use school insurance if you want to, dental information. You guys can populate this however you would like. Most people do use the physician information then, and if you're going to find a physician, this list is pulled through your census. And so if your administrators have added doctors to the census, you search their name, and you pull in whoever that doctor is. Okay? And so that's not only going to pull doctors, it's going to pull everybody that's in your census. So you will have to search for the doctor attached. when you attach a doctor to a student, it's going to carry through with that student throughout the whole program. It'll be permanently attached to that student until you tell it not to be. Right? So down here, you'll also see we have authorizations, authorized to speak with physician, health screening participation, release of communicable disease information. There have been some requests for a few additional authorizations. I think how we're going to achieve that is create a custom tab for these students so that you guys can track whatever information you'd like on the student. Okay. You'll also see a notes field here to where you can add notes for any student. All right. So this general medical tab is pretty straightforward. Just fill in whatever information you'd like to see on the student, and that way it can pull to your reports and you can track whatever you'd like to. The next tab we're going to go to is the medication tab, and this is where you guys will probably be spending the most time. Okay? So, you'll see here, you can add medications. If you have medications already added, you can search by the medication, search by the situation, or search by the status. Okay? You can also include expired, discontinued, or omitted medications. Alright? I'm just going to go ahead and take you guys through the process of adding a medication. Okay. So you'll see here, it pulls up your medication template, and you can't type in the name here. If you try to type in this field, it won't let you do anything. You have to find the medications that are preloaded into your software already. For the state of Alabama, we have preloaded medications, categories, and subcategories, so there will not be any setup required for this. Go ahead and search your medication. And just pick Adderall, okay? So that'll pull my medication in here. Type. It's going to be a prescription medication. Dosage, whatever the dosage is. How to administer, we'll say it's supervised administration. The situation, we're going to say that this medication is on a schedule. Route would be oral. Frequency, say once daily. You guys have to have a start date and an end date. The start date and end date, if you have a medication on a schedule, will determine everything for that scheduled medication in terms of dispensing. Okay? So let's just say he's doing it for the whole school year. As directed on label. Alert level. So the alert level, what this is after I add this medication, you guys will notice that it will prompt us to go add an inventory for that medication. So what an alert level does is if you add an alert level in here, it'll tell you when your medication inventory has reached that level of alert. So I want to say, I want the system to alert me when the student is down to 3 pills in this medication. And where that will show is on your daily log. So when you log into your daily log for the day, it'll have an alert on there that says that the student is low on their Adderall. Okay? You also have checkboxes here for parent affirmation and physician affirmation. Again, you'll see here that it pulled in our physician information to this tab. You guys have the option to omit and discontinue records. And I'll show you guys how to do that later after we've added a couple medications. I'll show you guys how to come back in here and omit them. You can also save this as a template. So if you're going to be adding this medication for a lot of students and you want to save it, you can save it, create the name. If you're finished with your medication, go ahead and mark it as complete. If you do not mark it as complete, it will be a pending record, so you can pull up your pending records and come back in and edit it. But until the medication is marked complete, you will not be able to add an inventory and you will not be able to schedule any dispensings for this medication. Okay? So you'll need to mark it complete before moving on. So we'll go ahead and hit OK. And you see as soon as we hit OK, it prompts us. It says, would you like to add inventory for a newly added medication? You can either cancel if you would not like to add an inventory. You can hit OK. Okay? So we'll say that their parents brought in the medication at the beginning of the school year. Time doesn't really matter, but if you guys want to track the time, you can. Alright, we'll say 30. And then we'll say pills. You can put the RX number, the storage location. You can put the pharmacy's phone number, and you can put the pharmacy's name, and any notes that you'd like on the medication. Okay, so this is your general information on the inventory. Then you'll see this here, number of units per dispensing. And again, this is how that alert level is going to be notified. So if you're getting 1 unit per dispensing, every dispensing that is recorded will subtract 1 unit from your inventory. Okay? You'll see here we again have omitted/discontinued fields, and we also have medication returned. There have been quite a few change requests for this medication return field, different options aside from being returned to parent, such as waste, so on and so forth. We are aware of these change requests for the state of Alabama. All change requests do need to go through the State Department with Janice and Lisa. But again, this has been requested. I know there's definitely been requests for different options for this medication return method. Okay. Again, I'll come back to this later and show you guys how to omit everything after we've added some. So you have your inventory here. Mark the inventory as complete, so it'll start counting your inventory. You can hit OK. Alright, and again, it starts with a blank page in case you want to add another inventory, and you can just hit cancel. Alright, and it starts with a blank template in case you want to add another one, and you can just hit cancel. Then you get back to the student screen, and you'll see the medication that you just added. Okay? Now we want to schedule a dispensing for this medication. So I'm going to place a check mark beside the medication, and this is a scheduled medication, so I want to go up here and add a scheduled dispense. Alright? You'll put the time of every day that you're going to dispense this medication, okay, and which days you'll dispense it. You can also put any notes you would like, and again, you'll see the omit and discontinue options. Right? So, when you schedule this dispensing, it is going to schedule a dispensing pending record for every day of the week from the start and end date that you entered on the medication. Alright? So let me show you what I mean. Click complete here. Hit OK. And I'll cancel. You'll see I now have a little plus sign here beside my Adderall. If I click that, it'll show every dispensing record that is scheduled. Okay? And obviously my calendar year only goes to September 28, 2012. So you guys will just have to act like that says 13 for right now. But it'll go for as far as your calendar will let it go. Alright? So, to record a dispensing, to record the fact that you actually, administered the medication, there's a couple ways you can do that. Alright? The first way I want to show you is I'll come out of here, and you can come to your student health, and you can search for your student, open up your student, go to the medication tab, click the plus sign, click the date that you're on, okay, say who it was administered by, put any notes you'd like. You can edit the number of units dispensed. You can also edit the time. If you weren't exactly on time, it's okay. Just edit the time here. And mark this as complete. Hit OK. And that record shows as dispensed. That's a little bit of a long way around it. My preferred method would be through the daily log. So let's go ahead and go to a different date. Let's say it's September 10th, and I need to record a dispensing record for any student that has medication on the 10th. So you'll see here I have 2 students that are supposed to get medication today. I can come into the daily log, and in reality, you guys will have many more than 2 students. So you guys will probably want to come up here and sort by your medication, you know, and limit this a little more. So you guys would have a lot more records here. But what you can do is from your daily log screen, you don't have to go all the way in and search for the student. You just click on this record right here, administered by, school nurse, edit your time if you need to, units of, number of units dispensed if you need to, hit complete, okay, and you're done. It's marked as complete, okay? So you can come through the daily log and do all of your students down the list instead of going into each individual student. So you'll see there's this field here for a reason not dispensing. So if there's any reason that you do not need to dispense the medication, just go ahead and choose your reason. Probably the one that causes the most problems is called field trip. Because even though the student's on a field trip, you'll see there's no number of units dispensed. Well, what if the student went on a field trip and you guys still use medication out of your inventory? Well, that's okay. Just don't put anything in the reason for not dispensing. And you can say administered by substitute nurse or something, whoever was on the field trip with them. Just put okay, and then you can put your number of units dispensed. All right. So that's pretty easy field. Again, if you select one of these, it is going to blank out your number of units dispensed and act like nothing came out of your inventory. All right. Okay. Let's go back into our students and continue to take a look at these medications. Okay. So you'll see here our count went from 30 to 28 because I've added 2 dispensing records. All right. So let's go in and let's say we have a medication that is not on a schedule and we just need to give as needed. All right. So let's go ahead and add a medication like that. Again, don't type anything in here because it won't work. Hit your find button. Search for the medication. That didn't work. I might not have Tylenol in here. Yeah, I do. Alright. Okay. Type, we'll say non-prescription, dosage, 200 milligrams. We can say self-administered, as needed, oral, as needed. You'll still have to have a start date and an end date for the time period that the student is allowed to have this medication. So we're just going to say for the whole school year. Okay. Directions as directed on label. Alert level, again, select your alert level in which you'd like to be alerted when the medication is running low. Alright. All your other information is held. You can save this one as a template if you'd like. Mark it as complete. Hit OK. We're going to add our inventory. So they brought in a big bottle. No expiration, RX number, we'll say nurse's office, no pharmacy. Any notes you'd like, we'll say 2 units per dispensing. Mark it complete. Hit OK. Alright, cancel out of this. Cancel out of this. Okay, so now I have my Tylenol in here that I am just going to dispense as needed whenever the student's coming into the office. Okay, and says they have a headache. So, you put a check mark beside the medication, and rather than adding a scheduled dispense record, you just want to add a normal dispense record. Click on Add Dispense, and it'll bring you to the same screen that we were working with on the scheduled dispense. Okay? Put in whatever time you need to. It will default to the current time. Mark it as complete. Hit OK. Cancel. And you'll see that that one dispensing record was added to that medication. So that's how you go in and you add just one dispensing record. Okay? So that pretty much does it in terms of adding medication. It's pretty straightforward. You just kind of go through the fields and fill them out as you need to. Again, scheduling the dispensing is very easy. You just put in the time you'd like to dispense and mark the appropriate days, and it will create an automatic dispensing record for you for every day that medication is scheduled and that start and end date. So let me take you guys back through and show you how to dispense the record, or to omit the record, alright? We're going to start with the completed dispensing here. So you come down to omit discontinue, you enter your date, alright? You've already marked this as completed. So when you do that, you're saying, I have already given this student the medication. So if you've already given a student the medication, you can no longer omit it because it's already been done. What you can do though is you can discontinue and you can select your reasoning. Medication licensed prescriber, medication expired, OTC medication by parent, you have student transferred, student withdrawn, or update. Okay? So we're just going to say student withdrawn and click OK. So omitting a record is very easy. You'll see here, shows as omitted, or as discontinued, Alright? So the next one we want to look at is, let's show you how to discontinue and return a medication. Alright, so you're going to go to inventory log. You'll see here, here's the inventory for this medication. I want to go into it. Now I want to say we discontinued this. And again, the student withdrew. Alright. We're going to say that we return the medication to the parents. It'll populate a date and a time for you. You can change the date if you need to. And the time if you need to. The amount returned to the parents, we only dispensed 2, so we're going to say 198. Alright. And then you can say method of return. And so here, what most people do, since all we have is the return to parents checkbox. See, if you uncheck return to parents, it's going to remove everything you've done. So you have to check return to parents, and that's where these change requests have come in for an extra checkbox like waste. Okay? So again, I'm going to fill this back out. Method of return. But you can still check the checkbox and just say waste. If need be. Okay? Click OK. That record is now discontinued, and you can no longer see it until you click Include Discontinued Records. So if you guys discontinue or omit anything, and are scared you'll never see it again, don't worry, because we have these little check boxes everywhere. You can always include omitted and discontinued records. Alright? So that takes care of our inventory. The last thing we need to get rid of is the actual medication itself. Let's cancel out of this. And you'll see we're on the medication. We're going to put in our date, put in our action, and put in our reason. Right? And we'll hit OK. So you'll see here that omitting and discontinuing records are very easy, very self-explanatory. So there's really not much to it at all. Just enter the date, put your action, and put your reason. You can always come back and look for expired medications, discontinued medications, or omitted medication. Okay? We got all sorts of stuff in here. Okay. So that pretty much does it in terms of medications, adding, omitting. I went through inventory. I went through dispensing. The only thing I didn't show you were the reports up here on the left-hand side. I will show you both of these reports when we get to the report section, The medication checklist is a really nice tool because what you can do is it prints out a checklist for all your students' medications that you can send with a substitute nurse or you can send on a field trip. And that way they can mark off the time that they dispensed the medication and mark that they actually dispensed it so you can come in and enter the data once you're back in the office. And I'll show you guys that report here a little bit later. Okay? Alright, we're going to go ahead and head on to office visits. Okay? Oh no. There we go. We're back up. Alright. So here's your office visits tab. We're going to go ahead and we're going to add a new office visit for Claire Adams. Okay? Again, you have templates here if you'd like. The office visit entry is very self-explanatory. You just have a date, a time in, and a time that the student checked out. Okay? You have an area here to take all your vital signs. One change request that has been added is maybe its own tab or a separate office visit entry for students that are diabetic. There's a little more involved with diabetic students, so that hasn't been a very popular request to add some additional fields for that. Alright. You can put any referral info in here if you would like to. And you can select a symptom, a procedure, a treatment, and an outcome. Okay? Just going to say abdomen pain, no procedure, or outcome. So we can say student return to class. And we will say given a snack. Okay? And again, you guys have lots of options here. All of these were preloaded for you based off requirements from the state of Alabama, so you guys don't have to worry about any setup. It's all in there for you already. Okay? Again, we have a notes field here for any notes you'd like to add about the office visit. And as you've seen everywhere else, we have the omit reason, so you can omit an office visit if it was not accurate, and you've already marked it as complete. You can save it as a template. Okay. Mark it as complete. And hit OK. Okay, and then again, it brings you back to a blank template so you can start over. You can just hit cancel. And you'll see here, you've added your office visit. And again, if you'd like to, you can go back in and let's say you didn't mean to enter this office visit on this student. You can omit it. You can say documentation error. Hit OK. And that'll omit the office visit. But again, it's not gone forever. Just click omitted records and you'll see it here again. Alright? So that's office visits. Again, very straightforward, very easy. Just go through the fields and add what you need to add. The next tab I want to take you to is screenings. Now, there's not many times where you guys will come into the screenings field to actually add a screening. In most cases, you guys are going to add your screenings in mass through the Mass Manage tab over here. But I will show you guys adding a screening from the individual student, just in case you guys ever would like to do it this way. Alright, so the main screening you guys would probably add on this tab is a student's height and weight screening, because that is the only screening that is not available on our Mass Manage. Okay? So we're going to add a student height and weight screening. Okay, date, 10/25/12, grade level, 10, height, and this is automatically populated for you. Height, we'll say, this is in inches by the way, so, just go, that's a pretty short grade, 47 for the 10th grade. We'll say, there we go, we'll say 5 foot. So 60 inches, you can put in a weight, and then it'll give you a body mass index. Okay? You can select an examiner by choosing Find, or you can mark it as an outside examination. Put any notes you'd like, put a treatment or an outcome. Again, once you've marked it complete, if you want to come back and omit the record, you're more than able to. Okay? So there you've added a height and weight screening. And again, you guys do have the option to add additional screenings. Now, for the state of Alabama, we have just recently entered a fitness testing module in the health module for PE teachers. Now, they have been instructed not to be given access to your guys' medical screening. But because of that, some nurses, or maybe administrators, will be getting requests from the PE teachers to go in and fix a record that they might have messed up. So if that's the case, if you ever need to come in here for a PE teacher, because they won't have access to this individual screen. They can only do it through Mass Manage, so they can't see the other screens. Just come to Fitness. You can open up whichever one you want for them and edit it as needed for them. Okay? But again, a majority of your screenings, the auditory, hearing, height, or hearing, scoliosis, and vision, those are all under your Mass Manage, and you guys can mass assign those screenings. Right? Okay, so that's screenings. We'll go ahead and move on to immunization. So you'll see here, all your immunizations are in order. Okay? To add in, well, first let me take you back here. So you have an original issuer, an expiration date, little standard checkbox here, any notes you would like on a medication, okay? Let's just go ahead and add a medication, or I'm sorry, not a medication, an immunization for the student. So you click on the immunization you would like to add, you hit add, and enter a date. Very simple, okay? Try 95. There we go. So you add your date, and that's in there. You'll see here that it'll show you the statuses based upon your medications, and it'll give you non-compliance messages as well. Okay? So immunizations are very straightforward. Again, you just click on the medication you'd like, click add your date, okay? You'll see here we have an override tab as well. So, if the student, maybe the student is considered non-compliant in the eyes of the state of Alabama. So you call the doctor and tell him, he says, I don't care what the state of Alabama says, I say that this kid is compliant. So, you can come in here, and again, you have override types. You can say medical. You also have religious, medical, and you have a start date and an end date. Well, I guess, never mind. For the state of Alabama, you guys can't override as compliant. I'm sorry about that. Some of my other states, you can override the student as compliant, even if it's marking them as non-compliant. But it looks like for the state of Alabama, you guys just have a medical override and a religious override. So what this is pretty much saying is that the student cannot have this medication for either medical reasons or religious reasons. A little simple for you guys, a little more simple. So you guys just go in here, add medical, you can put a start date. Alright, so the start date and the end date. On your guys' Alabama school entry survey, there's two columns, which is a permanent medical exemption and a temporary medical exemption. Okay? So these date fields are what determine whether the student is temporary or permanent medical exemption. So if you just have a start date without an end date, that's saying that the student is exempt forever. Alright? And so that's going to put them in the permanent exemption column. If the student has an end date, then it's saying that they're temporarily exempt. And that'll put them in the temporarily exempt column. Okay? So if the student is, exempt from this immunization forever, do not put an end date in this field right here. Okay? And you guys can put whatever notes you would like. You'll see here it comes to an M for medical override. And it looks like somebody's already added an R for religious override for the DCP. Okay? So that pretty much does it for immunizations. Again, very straightforward. You'll see here the varicella does include an extra category, has the had chickenpox and a date of disease. Okay? That's very important for your reports. I know we had an issue with this past turn-in of the Alabama School Entry Survey. If a student has no shots and has had the disease of chickenpox is when they're supposed to poll to, I think it's column 9. Or column 12, one of those columns. And if they have had a shot, then they do not pull to that column. But here, yeah, you can mark the student as having the chickenpox disease and the date of the disease. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to health conditions and medical equipment. So, I don't see many people use the medical equipment, but you guys are more than welcome to add medical equipment if you'd like. Okay? Allows you to track medical equipment. Very straightforward. Just click add, select which one, and hit complete. Okay? What many of you guys will use are these health conditions. So let's go in here, and I'm going to add a health condition, and we'll say allergies to adhesives. Okay? And I want all the teachers to know that this student is allergic to adhesives. So I'm going to click here on Display Alert. You can mark conditions, right? And you can also omit a record as usual. I'm going to go ahead and mark this as complete. As soon as I mark this record as complete, it's going to pop up with a little yellow medical cross on the student that I'll show you guys here in just a minute. Teachers and other staff members from then on can click on that yellow cross and see what the student's health condition is. Alright? So I want to go ahead and mark that as complete. And again, they will only be able to see it if you have this display alert checked. Alright. So I've added my health condition, and I need to add a health form that goes with that condition. So let's go in here. And you'll see you guys have a whole bunch of previous loaded health forms. Alright? Since I probably won't have a health form for their allergy, I'm going to add a health form for their ADHD plan. Okay? I'm going to click load here. So this loads a default plan in here. You guys are more than welcome to come through here and edit this as you need to. If you would like to edit this and come back to it at a later date, do not click the complete checkbox. Once you have completed this, you will not be able to edit this field right here. Okay? But once I have my plan all in order, I want to go ahead and hit complete and hit OK. Alright, let's cancel. So you'll see here I have my ADHD plan. Alright? Well, let's say it rolls around the next year and it's 2013. So I go to add a new plan for the new year. Well, first, I want to go into my old plan. Copy everything, because I've probably made a whole bunch of edits in there. Now I want to go add my plan for the next year, and it's not available. Okay? That plan is no longer available because you guys already have the plan entered. And so it doesn't recognize the date timestamps, which has been a change request, to where maybe after a year you guys can add a new plan. So what, the workaround for right now, and which is what we've been doing the whole time, it makes pretty good sense. You come in here, and you're going to omit this form because you're adding a new one. This form is no longer valid for the child. You want to add a new form. So you'll put in the omit date. You can put in the omit reason of update. You're just saying that you're updating this form, and that's why you're omitting the old one. Hit OK. Add their new form. You'll see that your template's back. can load it. Well, this is the template, so I don't want all this because I've already written a whole bunch of stuff in here. So I'm going to paste what I had in the other one, make whatever changes I need to make, hit complete, and OK, and cancel. So now I have my new plan for the next year, okay? And again, you're just going to have to pretend like this says 2013, but your old plan hasn't disappeared. All you have to do is include the omitted records, and you can go in and view that old plan at any time, okay? So, again, if you have an active form, you will not be able to add a second form of the same type, even if it's a different care plan, okay? You will have to omit the old care plan as updated and add a new one. Alright? So, I was telling you guys a little bit earlier about this little yellow medical cross. I want to show you guys how the teachers can see these healthcare plans. So I'm not logged in as a teacher, but let's pretend I am, and I'm in a teacher's grade book. And I have all my students here, and I see that Claire Adams has a health alert. I'm going to click on this health alert, and I'll see that she has allergies to adhesives, and I didn't complete my ADHD, or I didn't mark it as display as alert. But I also see she has an ADHD plan. So, in the future, we're still working on it right now, the teacher will be able to click this link right here and view the ADHD plan for that student. That way they can go in and sign off on it. I know there's been a lot of change requests, like maybe they can click on it and send back a confirmation to the nurse stating that they viewed it. So, again, all change requests need to go through the state, but that has been a highly requested one. As of right now, teachers should be able to view the healthcare plan, but we do not have any way of verifying that they have viewed it. So, again, that's something we're looking into for the future, maybe adding some sort of verification to where if they click on the plan, they have to check a little checkbox that says, I have read this care plan, and it'll send an alert back to the nurse. Okay? So we'll hit close, and we'll go back to health. So that pretty much does it for our student health. I'll take you guys back to daily log here. You'll see how much we've done in the daily log. The next place I want to show you is Mass Manage. And again, this is primarily going to be used for your screenings. You'll see here that you have fitness screening and results. This is a brand new link this year. You guys will probably not use this field unless your school is having you guys administer the fitness test. But it's my understanding that is the PE teacher's responsibility, and that PE teachers will have access to this. They will not have access to this. This will be where you guys can go to come in and add a screening of your choice. So here's the student search screen again. You guys can search for a list of students to build a list of students off of, okay? So I'm going to hit next. And let's say that I have these students that were tested and passed. Alright? So I'm going to add these students to my list. Hit next. I'm going to select the area that I screened. I'll select auditory. And I'll hit next. I'm going to put the date of the screening, the type of the screening, either the original screen, outside, rescreen, referral, follow-up, special education, event, or screening. The time. The result of the screening. I'm going to say pass. And here the screening was administered by. Okay? And you can put any notes you'd like on the screen. So when I hit assign, it's going to assign that screening to all the students that I selected in that list. Alright? Hit close, and you're done. Very easy, quick, efficient way to add screenings. Alright? So then, let's say you have a subgroup of students that had a different result on the screening. You can change the result to fail. and so forth, and assign. Okay? So again, screenings are very easy. You just go in here and you can mass assign screenings for a lot of students at a time. That way you don't have to go into each individual student, click on their screening tab, click add the screening, and move on to your next student. Next, I'm going to take you guys to reports. And we're going to go take a look at the Alabama School Entry Survey. You'll enter the information you need to here, the date that you'd like to pull the information for, the name of the person completing the form, the phone number of the person completing the form, the contact and return information, okay, and which format you'd like to export it in. Hit preview and open it up. This is your form. You have a column for total enrollment, unexpired blue slip, permanent medical exemption, temporary medical exemption, religious exemption, medical exemption of blue slip, religious exemption of blue slip, expired blue slip, no record on file, 1 dose of varicella, 2 doses of varicella, and varicella documentation. You also see the grade levels down here on the side. One common issue I see is some people have multiple grade levels in here, and that has to do with your guys' grade level setup in the iNow program. You guys will need to contact the system administrator to help you clear that up if you see multiple grade levels here. Okay? So this is the Alabama School Entry Survey. We also have a daily log report. This is a nice report to track anything that's been done in the health program. So especially with you guys being lead nurses, if you guys have a lot of other nurses in your district, and you need to, or in your school, and you need to come in here and see what kind of activities have been going on in the daily log, you can select from a list of activities, use a student filter, have an ID to print, you can group by, choose completed records, all records, or pending records. You can sort by start date and an end date. You can include withdrawn students, account, and account of log entries. Okay? So this report is very informative when you're trying to track what's been entered into the health module. Okay? All right. You'll see here there is a fitness screening report, and again, this is a new addition to the health module. This report was added for the PE teachers to come in and run this report. This report will also be turned into the state for their fitness testing. So as nurses, you guys probably won't need to worry about that report, but if you guys want to, you're welcome to go in there and run it whenever you'd like. We have a health assessment report. Okay. So you guys can have a report type of detail or simple. And this option is on a lot of our reports. It just depends how much information you'd like to see. You can group by student display name, a grade level, or a homeroom. You can run it for a registered and enrolled only, or a registered only student. You can run it by insurance type, by health condition, by medical equipment, and you can choose to include withdrawn students. Okay. And you'll see here, here's your State of Alabama Department of Education Health Assessment Record. All right? Okay. Next is our health conditions report. Okay. You can select the health condition to run it for. You have a whole bunch of student options here. Again, you can run a simple or detailed report. You can run it for completed or pending or all records on health conditions. You can run it for withdrawn students. You can pull only health conditions that have alerts attached to them. You can also include a report breakdown. Okay. Again, this site I'm using now does not have near as much data as the other one we were looking at, but you guys get the point. You see the fields here. All right. You have your immunization certificate report, and many people use this report when trying to balance their Alabama school entry survey. You guys can run the report for missing expiration dates, expired certificates, and no shot records. Now, the difference between the Alabama school entry survey and this no shot record count is this no shot record count will pull a report for only students that do not have any shot record for any of the required shots. Whereas your Alabama school entry survey will pull a student into their no record list even if they only have one shot missing. So this report they'll have to have all their shots missing. Alabama school entry, if they're missing a record for even one of their required shots, it'll pull that student in. So there was some confusion about why aren't these numbers matching up, because they're looking at a little bit of different things. Again, this report is going to pay attention to students that don't have any shot records in their required shots, whereas the Alabama school entry survey will pull a student even if they're only missing one record in their required shots. Okay? You can run it for withdrawn students. Okay. Apply your students no shot records or expired certificates, however you'd like to run the report for. Then you have your immunization compliance report. Again, an extremely helpful tool when trying to balance your Alabama school entry survey and make sure everything's good to go. Okay. You can run it for a particular academic session. You can select which immunizations to run it for, a status of the immunization. You can order it by student name. You can select a compliance date. You can check grade level +1, which will run the student's immunization based upon the fact that they're in the next year's grade level. You can include a chickenpox count. You can choose to include registered and enrolled, registered, or just enrolled. I would always suggest including your immunization dates. It just provides a lot more information when you guys include those dates. You can include a summary and withdrawn students. Now, on this immunization compliance report, with some of your bigger districts, when you're trying to run this will take a little time to run. So please don't click on a whole bunch of things and freeze up the system. Just give it a little bit of time to poll, because if you're running this for a big school, it is going to take a little bit of time. All right? Well, I don't think it's going to let me run it, is it? Okay, well, it's obviously not going to let me preview this report. I have, hold on one second. I'm going to go try to run this from a different spot. Hold on one second. So you can run it from an individual student as you can all these reports. Having some trouble with the Zoom on my browser. Hold on one second, guys. Alright, there. Finally let me open it. Sorry about that. So this is your immunization compliance report, okay? Again, it's going to show all your shots here across the side. Show your student, the grade level, the birth date. Okay. I don't have a lot of data in here at all. So this site probably isn't the best example, but you guys will be able to get in here and play with a lot more data than what I have in here. You also have a medical equipment report. If you guys are using medical equipment, you can run it for a gastric tube, a nebulizer treatment, oxygen supplement. Choose any medical equipment you'd like, any student information you'd like. Again, record status, withdrawn, count by equipment, student count. All the reports are very self-explanatory. You just run it for whatever parameter you would like to run the report for. You can pull a lot of great information. You have the medication dispensing checklist. And this is the report that I was telling you guys about earlier that is a great tool to use if you guys are ever absent, have a substitute nurse, or have students going on a field trip. You can come in here and run this report for a date range. So let's say you're going to be out of town okay. You want to do pending records because more than likely if you're out of town, the records that you're trying to pull have not been completed yet. Pull just enrolled kids. Hit preview. And I don't have any students in here. You try to get any data. Alright, I don't have any data in here, but let's go all. I might not have any medications in here. Okay, let me try to go back to my other site with actual data in it. There we go. I'm sorry for the internet trouble, you guys. I don't know why we keep going down. Okay, here we go. So again, I want to run this with pending enrolled students. We'll go from Alright, so this looks a lot better. So you can give this to substitute nurse or whoever's leading the field trip, and it's going to give you the name of the student, what medication they need, and it'll have little check boxes here for either administered or absent, okay? And you can have them write down a date and a time on here for you. That way when you're back in the office, you can come in here and enter these dispensing records. Again, this would be used more for scheduled dispensing since it doesn't seem like you guys are able to go back and predate dispensings. So this would be for your scheduled dispensings, because if you have them scheduled, you can go back to whatever date you need to, okay? But again, a very good tool to use for those scheduled dispensings when you're out and have a substitute nurse covering. Then you have the medication list, and this is going to pull any information you want on medication. You can choose some student criteria up here. You can choose a start date and an end date, the record status, student status. You can group by whatever you'd like. You can include information about the dispensing, about the inventory, and about the scheduling. You can select expired only, withdrawn students, omitted medications, discontinued medications. You can run this report for anything at all that you'd like to know about medications. It's a very good report to use when needing to go back and reference anything to do with medication administering or dispensing, okay? You have your office visits report. This report is a great report for your frequent flyers and the office visits, mainly because you can include count of visits, student or date, count of students with visits, count of all office visits. So if you have one student that is really a frequent flyer, you can go into their individual data and run this office visits report from that office visits tab, and you'll get all their information from all the office visits that they've come in case you need to report to mom and dad. But yeah, this is a great report. You can run it for symptoms, treatments, procedures, outcomes, all sorts of counts. You can choose any sort of student information you'd like up here. And looks like we don't have any current office visits, but you can have all. There we go. So I have one in here. So that's your office visit report. Then you have your scoliosis screening report. Okay? Again, you have a whole bunch of criteria to run the report for. You can run it for detailed, complete, pending, or all. You can select the screening type. You can select the results to run it by. You can do a record count, a student count, a results by type breakdown. You can include withdrawn students. We haven't done any scoliosis. Same sort of thing with the vision screening. Okay, same exact report, just for the vision screenings. All right. So again, that pretty much does it for a report. Very straightforward. Go in, set the parameters you'd like to run the reports for, and run them. If you feel like the reports aren't pulling accurate data, please contact your system administrator so that they can get with us. I know I did get some phone calls from Janice, and we worked out some issues with the Alabama School Entry Survey report. So please, I do encourage you to contact your system administrator so that they can contact STI and we can get things fixed if you feel like something isn't working the way it's supposed to. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and go on to utilities. Now the only function we have under utilities is this little tool called Synchronize Medication Schedules with the School Calendar. This is a brand new function of the system. And what this does is if you're an administrator, let's say, I know we're in Alabama, but you guys might have a school day, okay? Or a school day, a snow day. Let's go in here. Not to that school. Let's go to Alabama High School. Okay. So let's say we have a snow day on September 28th. Change this. Not make it a school day. Alright? So September 28th is no longer a school day. And you guys won't have to worry about changing the calendar. This will be your system administrators. I'm just doing this for an example. So you're notified that this is a snow day. And you look on your daily log for 9/28/12. And you see, I have a dispensing record for a student on that day, but I'm not going to be there to dispense the medication. Right? So instead of going in and having to omit all the medication records, because more than likely you guys will have a lot more dispensing records in here than just one, you can go to Utilities, Synchronize Medication Schedules with School Calendar, and you can hit Synchronize from whatever date you would like. And you'll see here that it edited whatever records and matched them up to your school calendar. So if I go back to my daily log for that same date, there's no longer a dispensing record for that student because that is no longer a day of school. Okay? It also takes it off the student and the individual student. See, it stopped at 9:27. There is no longer 9:28 on this student for the dispensing record. So that's a nice way if something happens where you guys don't have school or something changes in the calendar, you can sync up your medication schedules with your school calendar. Okay. The last thing here before I open up for questions is your setup. Your setup, you have the setup for your whole health module. You have all of these in here. All of these are preloaded in for you. Medications, medication categories, screening areas. Now you guys are able to add your own screenings. So if you guys would like to come in here and add a life screening or a dental screening, this is one area that is not locked down by the state of Alabama for you guys. You guys can come in here and add whatever screenings you'd like to add for your own personal reference. You won't have a state code in there because that screening probably won't be reporting to the state, but yes, you guys are able to add your own screenings in the software. Okay? But again, this is your setup. It's just where all your codes are pulled from. You have insurance type. You can't add anything there. So a lot of these fields have already been preloaded for you and you guys won't be able to add. Let's go to Forms Templates. Alright, so here's Forms Templates. So for your health conditions, when I showed you guys how to attach a form to a student, you guys are able to come in here and add your own form template. So if you don't like the ones that we have preloaded in here, you may come in here and add whatever form template you'd like to show up in the system. You guys can also come in here and edit the currently existing template. Okay? Alright. So again, this is your code setup. If there's something you don't like, come in here, see if you can either add or edit it. And if you're not allowed to add or edit it, it won't let you. And that's where a change request would come in. So if you see something you want to add and you're not able to, go ahead and put a request in to the state so that they can let us know that this is a feature you guys would like to see down the road. Okay? And I'm going to go ahead and open up for questions now. Please try to use the chat box. If you guys want to unmute your phones, you guys are more than welcome to. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.